You scroll. You compare. You post. And then you wait. That tightness in your chest, the dread of a silent notification center, it's not just you. It's a modern anxiety, a digital prison of our own making. But what if the ancient key to freeing yourself was forged in the fires of Rome 2,000 years ago? This is the story of how one man discovered that the answer to his digital fear wasn't a new app, but an old philosophy. Leo's world had shrunk to the dimensions of a 6-inch screen. Each morning began not with sunlight, but with the cold glow of his phone, a ritualistic check for validation. A post about his morning coffee, 12 likes. A colleague's identical post, 87 likes. A familiar cold weight settled in his stomach. His value, it seemed, was a fluctuating metric, a number determined by an unseen algorithm and the fleeting attention of strangers. The fear was constant, a low hum of anxiety that he might say the wrong thing, post the wrong image, and be met with the digital age's most deafening sound, silence. He was a slave to external approval, his mood a puppet on the strings of notifications. He would refresh obsessively, each tap a silent plea for affirmation, each empty return a confirmation of his irrelevance. This was no way to live. He was granting total control of his inner peace to forces entirely outside of his command. He knew, deep down, that a change was needed, a fundamental shift in perspective, or he would remain forever trapped in this cycle of hope and fear. But that change would require looking backward, far into the past, to find a new way forward. Driven by that quiet despair, Leo stumbled upon a quote from the Emperor Marcus Aurelius: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." It was a lightning bolt. His entire suffering was based on the inverse, trying to control outside events, likes, comments, opinions, and neglecting his mind. He began with the first Stoic hack, Memento Mori, the remembrance of death. It sounded morbid, but for Leo, it was liberating. He considered the impermanence of it all, this app, these people, even himself. Viewed through the lens of eternity, the stakes of a forgotten post became laughably trivial. The anxiety began to loosen its grip. He then applied the Stoic practice of Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. What was the worst that could happen? A post would get no likes. He would be ignored. And then? The sun would still rise. His breath would still fill his lungs. By voluntarily imagining the worst-case scenario, he robbed it of its power to shock him. The digital world started to seem less like a court of judgment and more like a passing storm, loud, but ultimately temporary. He was learning to anchor himself in the eternal, rather than the ephemeral. But understanding was one thing, action was another. Armed with this new framework, Leo chose to engage differently. He implemented the third hack, Amor Fati, the love of fate. He would post not for the outcome, but for the act itself. He shared a thoughtful article he genuinely valued, embracing whatever response came, even silence, as the necessary outcome. The result was, predictably, minimal. But instead of frustration, he felt a flicker of pride. He had acted with integrity, according to his own values, and that was the entire point. The fourth hack was to practice negative visualization. He contemplated life without the platform altogether. The peace, the focus, the reclaimed time, this exercise revealed the platform not as a necessity, but as a voluntary tool, one he could discard at any time. This realization was the ultimate source of power. He was no longer a prisoner logging into his cell, he was a warden, holding the keys. He began to curate his feed with ruthless Stoic discipline, muting voices that bred comparison and following only those that offered genuine value or joy. He had built a fortress of inner Citadel, but one final test remained to see if it could withstand a direct assault. The test arrived not as silence, but as noise. A controversial comment he made was met with a wave of criticism. The old Leo would have spiraled, deleting the post, crafting frantic replies, his heart pounding with shame. The new Leo simply observed the reaction. He applied the final hack, he viewed the event with objective judgment, separating the facts from his impressions. The facts were simple, words on a screen from people he did not know. His impression, that this was a catastrophic personal failure, was a choice. He chose a different impression. This was feedback, some useful, some not. It was an opportunity to practice resilience, to exercise his newfound stoicism under fire. He felt the initial sting, acknowledged it, but then let it pass like a cloud in the sky of his mind. He had finally internalized the dichotomy of control. Their opinions. Outside his control. His response, his virtue, his character. Entirely within it. Leo closed the app, not in defeat, but in profound peace. He looked up from his screen, noticing the world beyond it, the steady rhythm of rain, the warmth of his coffee, the simple act of breathing. The digital world continued to buzz, but it was now a distant echo. He was finally, unshakably, free. The validation he had sought online had always been within him, a quiet wellspring of self-worth no algorithm could ever measure or touch. If that peace is what you're striving for, then the Stoic path is yours to walk. Help others find it. Like this video if you want to master your mind, share it with someone who needs to break free, and subscribe to Stoic Hustle. Because your focus, your peace, and your time are your most precious commodities. Guard them wisely.